Welcome back to the channel, everyone. We've got another special guest. Anybody that's been watching this channel for a while knows that this is a familiar face. It's my friend Jellico from Crypto Grit.
Hello, Key. Thank you. Thank you for having me again on your channel.
You can come on my channel anytime, Jellico. So we're going to have just a general discussion, a casual chat today. We're going to talk about the markets. We're going to talk about your visit to Dubai, Jellico, because you've been at Token 49. So we'll see what was happening there. Of course, you're the go-to place for Web3 gaming. So we'll be discussing that. You've got a new guild that you want to be talking about. We'll talk about that towards the end. And then we're going to try and get you in our Discord, Jellico, because if I just share my screen, there's a lot of people in my Discord that talk about you all the time because they call you the crypto Hulk. So, so
I
you'll
need
have
to
to
get
jump
back in
in there.
shape.
You'll have to
Yeah.
jump in there, Jellico, and have a chat in our Discord group. But anyway, so firstly, how was your visit to Dubai, Jellico?
It was awesome. It was my second international conference, and I think these places are like really nice to connect. Also, my first visit to Dubai, awesome place, awesome views. There's some bad things in my opinion, but I guess it's kind of everywhere that you can find the things that you dislike, the huge dissonance between like poor and the rich people there. But in general, I think Dubai, like from the business perspective, it's awesome place. But I would still prefer living in Serbia just because it's like over 40 degrees consistently in Dubai, which I didn't get used to handle. Now it's warm in Serbia and it's like 10 degrees less or even more. Yeah.
Yeah, a
So,
bit nicer.
but
40.
I like it. I think it's awesome place. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's nice. I'm gonna have to visit myself sometime. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
anybody that doesn't know Jellico, anyone that's new to this channel, so there's quite a few people that's new to this channel. We're on the road to 10,000 now. We're going to have a 10,000 subscriber party, so you're welcome to join that, Jellico.
Oh,
But
nice,
we're about
nice.
800 off, something like that now, about 800 off, so not long, but it's going quick. So anyone that's new to the channel, Jellico specializes in Web3 gaming, and anybody that does like gaming, anyone that's new to crypto, go and join and subscribe to Jellico's channel. But what's the update and what's the goss on Web3 gaming right now then, Jellico?
Well, recently there is a lot of things happening. Actually, many of the games failed, or actually they failed in the past, but they just announced that. Some of these are obvious, and this is the thing that I often speak on my channel, is how to identify the games that have potential from the ones that don't, because I realize that so many people that invest and buy gaming coins, they don't actually play games, and I don't think that's a good route to go. I think, like, I think gaming, besides maybe AI is probably like the space that you really need to deep dive into, try out the games and gain that sense for the community, for the players as well, and like I feel that gaming has a lot of good opportunities, but from the other side, like the downside is also like very, very big, and people need to be very careful of what they are investing into, and like the good thing is that some of these opportunities are almost free. Like for example, on IMAX, just by playing games, you can earn IMAX keys, and at some you unlock every week, you unlock one key, and pretty much at the end of the week, you can earn, I don't know, in some cases, you will earn $10, but if you are lucky, I think some guy got above $10,000, which
Wow.
is kind of insane, Obviously, you need a lot of luck for that, and there are a lot of opportunities, abstract, it's gaming, it's gamblify as well, but there are opportunities that you stream, that you play some games and you're earning experience, and once their TG comes up closer, you will be earning, I think, pretty solid rewards, but you need to commit either time, either money, and I think in Web3 gaming, it's always like that, so you either need to have a lot of time or a lot of money, and it's up to you to choose. Often finding the balance between these two is the best, but I think it's even though currently it's not the best place, I think now, like, we have some kind of a purge in Web3 gaming, which is good for the future of Web3 gaming industry, in my opinion, because this is actually the time that will like eliminate the bad players, eliminate like the games that just weren't pushing enough and that maybe had super high expenses that created initial deals with investors that weren't that good for them, So now we have that kind of a purge, and we will see, I guess, at one point when the alt season comes, and I expect that to be in a soon future. I think this will be a bright time for Web3 gaming.
It'll run hard and it'll run fast. It is the Wild West, to be honest with you. And from my journey in late 2020 until now,
Yeah.
gaming's got to be my biggest loss by far. I've lost so much money on gaming, and I think it's because partly that I'm not very good at it, Jellicoe. That's the difference between me and you. You're very good at gaming, and you've got a background in gaming, and you always get high on those leaderboards. So I think that's the difference between me and you. But I wasn't very good at gaming, and I just tried to make quick money. And I remember it was BNB chain, it was Binance chain in the 2021, where you had all the scams and you had all these games that were built on there, and everything was happening. And I remember just losing loads of money in 2021 on gaming. It wasn't for me.
Yeah, honestly, when I started, I also had the same experience. I remember I was looking at Titan Arena and I did some calculations like if I'm able to pull like 55% win rate on Titan Arena, I think was the game, I will break even. And in the end, I pulled up like 75% win rate or something like that, which is really good. But I lost 90% of my money, because I wasn't aware of the tokenomics. I wasn't aware of the all the other things that are involved, So, and especially now, you have a lot of gamblify and like degen plays in gaming, and I think that people need to become more aware of it, because that you can't just look, whether the game is good or bad. You need to look at what is the tokenomics, what they did in their TG, what they did with the initial supply, and how they gonna monetize the game later on, because Web3 gamers like naturally tend to extract a lot of funds, and many of them are actually playing for these potential earnings within the game more than because they like the game itself, unfortunately. And I think this is not a good route to go. I think many of these games should aim to monetize in Web 2, whether through ads or battle passes or something like that, more than they are looking, to monetize from fully from the NFT sales or the token launches and things like that. So I think like acquire not just acquiring Web2 gamers, but actually, looking at what Web2 games are doing. And I realized that many people in Web3 gaming, they try to find like that next AAA game which will dominate the markets. And I don't think that it necessarily needs to be at like AAA game. I think like the uniqueness plays a big part, and adapting to the Web3 audience that is completely different for Web2 audience that got used to spend money on the game, and while Web3 audience is like when they're investing money in the game, they're looking like whether I'm gonna be able to pull the more money out or not, So it's completely different structure, and I think we are on a path to resolving the tokenomics and sustainability. It's just the question what's the game that will be able the first one to do it. So
That
that's
that
my
that's
take on that.
yeah, no, that's the thing. And I was invested in Thetan Arena as well, and I lost money in that because of the tokenomics. And it is a shame, though, isn't it, Jellicoe? Because there's a mixture between two things. You've obviously got scams, you've got people that's developing to try and make quick money and Ponzi schemes within the gaming. And then you've also got the actual developers that are developing real games like Thetan Arena that are real good games that are actually use case, but they haven't got a clue about the tokenomics and the impact of what that's going to have on the game itself, on the people, how much they can make. So it is a little bit difficult. And I think you're right. The person that does crack the tokenomics as well as the actual gameplay itself are the ones that are going to be the winners. It's going to be some big games in the future, Jellicoe, when the Web 2 gaming comes into Web 3 gaming and they actually understand the advantages of being able to allow people to hold real world assets on chain rather than just something that they can turn off at any time, and then they've spent all that money on something that's just not theirs. This is physically on chain and they can keep it on chain. Their money's on chain, tokens on chain. So people haven't cottoned onto it, and the Web 2 industry definitely hasn't cottoned onto it yet. But once you get the Web 2 integrated into Web 3 and they get the tokenomics sorted, then that's it, isn't it? That's going to be success.
Uh, yeah, I agree with you completely. Like I think just the natural utility is like owning your assets, for example, your characters as NFTs, and I think we are trying like to push all the other things that are maybe not that super necessary and that don't have that use case as owning your own assets. Like I think like pitching people, let's say if you're playing Hearthstone, at one point when you want to stop playing the game, you're not able to sell your card, sell your account, or anything, right?
Yeah.
So everything and every dollar that you invested until that point is pretty much lost for you because you can't do anything with it. While in Web3, whatever you have, whatever you build, for example, in Gods Unchained, I have like probably around 5,000 cards, and if I decide to stop playing at one point, I can literally just liquidate them all, right?
Yeah.
And that's like maybe the largest advantage of Web3 in my opinion, and I think people are trying to push the other use cases so much that the actual main use case is not seen by so many people, and they always try to how to say it, like they're always looking, that majority of the games are like releasing their token because of the investors, and they try to dispute why Web3 is even not necessary, while not looking at the main thing that Web3 offers, and that's exactly, you're owning your own assets. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
They'll click on soon, mate. They'll click on soon.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I thought next we could go over the markets because what I'll do is we'll just go through a quick overview, Zeljko, of where we are in the markets, and then I'll have a quick look at the charts, and then maybe I'm not sure if you've got a chart you can share with us as well because it was a quite a nice chart that you had in the last video that's played out really well. So if I just get this out the way. And we'll have a quick look at coin market cap, the overview. So we could see over the last few days, we were in greed over the last couple of months, and then we've pulled back into neutral as far as the fear and greed's concerned. So it is quite interesting over the last yesterday, last week, the last month, we've pulled back into neutral and the market's pulled back. And you can see back in November 2024, this is when people were calling for alt season. This is when we were in extreme greed. And this is when we were at 88. That's when everyone said that we had alt season. And I'd confirmed to people that that's not my metric for measuring alt season. My metric for measuring alt season we'll talk about very shortly. But as far as the coin market cap alt season indicator is, the way that coin market cap measures alt season, we've got 26%, or 26 out of 100, should I say. So we're very much in Bitcoin season. And last year, back in December 2024, like I say, 87 we got up to. So the dominance is something we'll talk about very shortly as well. And you can see the Bitcoin dominance in 2021 when we were talking about Ethereum outperforming Bitcoin and the Ethereum dominance actually outperforming Bitcoin for a short period. Look at this now, 63.7%, next biggest market cap leader at 9.2%. Absolutely amazing. That's got no chance of catching up now. And then the interesting thing, 9.2%, the interesting thing, the ETFs. So we've got net outflows on the ETF at the moment, but what you can see is the net outflows are on Bitcoin. We talk about the risk curve going from Bitcoin into Ethereum, and we start to see that happening with
That's
25 billion
interesting.
inflows on Ethereum. So if we just look at the chart, we'll see exactly what needs to happen. I talked about this in the video earlier on. I'm down on the 4-hour chart here. You can see that Bitcoin's trying to break out right now. It's either going to break out or I'll just pull out on the daily. What I said is it's either going to break out or it's going to come back down and test its 38.2% retracement from this previous swing, which coincides with this previous resistance level here as a support zone, 200 daily moving average as a support zone. So it could come back. The key is wait for the break on Bitcoin. But what is that going to do to dominance? What is that going to do to Ethereum? Because we had a bit of a scare over the last couple of days where we'd had a bit of a spike up in dominance. We talked about this in my earlier video, and we need to maintain this lower high on dominance. And Ethereum, what we talked about on here, Ethereum needs to start outperforming Bitcoin. So we look at the Ethereum and we look at the Bitcoin chart, and you can see Ethereum's in a wedge pattern against Bitcoin. Ethereum's in a wedge pattern against its US dollar pair. Ethereum needs to lead the way and start outperforming against Bitcoin before we get our next Ethereum season, Bitcoin season, ETH season, Bitcoin season, and we're waiting for the next Ethereum season. But you can start seeing that we've got upward pressure here. That is a bullish pattern. We need to break the 200 period moving average against Bitcoin, and then exactly the same here. Got Jellicoe straight above 200 moving average and above this bull pennant. So you can start seeing that Ethereum outperforming Bitcoin now, and it is quite interesting. We do need to maintain this lower high. And if Ethereum breaks out going into next week, that lower high is just going to come down here, test that as support, resistance, another lower high. And that's what we're waiting for is the alt season 2025. So one thing that I showed the guys on the channel earlier on, Jellicoe, and I've showed you this before as well, is how long have we got left? How long have we got left? And this is just an estimation based on previous cycles. So what we've got is we've got here 2015, the bottom in 2015. Let's have a look. There's the bottom, 2015. Then we've got 152 weeks. Stick it onto the weekly here. We've got 152 weeks. That is your 2017 bull run. That is the top of the 2017 bull run. Then we measure from the top to the bottom, you've got 52 weeks. So you've got 152 weeks for the bull market, 52 weeks for the bear market. There's the low here. I'll just zoom in on the low. There's the low. And then we measure that to the next high, bull market 2021, 152. So you've got 152, 152, you've got 52 there. We measure it from the top to the bottom, 52. So we use that as a measurement going forward. There's the bottom. There's 152 weeks. It's been 152 weeks for the last two cycles. That leaves 18 weeks left for an alt season. So if we look at dominance and we look at this descending wedge, you've got 2017 alt season, 23 weeks from the top to the bottom. With a descending wedge, you've got to understand one thing. It's going to be diminishing. There's 2021. There's a lower high from there. 2021, we've got 20 bars. Now, 2025 alt season is what we're waiting for. It's going to be diminishing. We've got a lower high here. It is a wedge pattern, and that is going to be a lot less than what the other alt seasons are going to be. However, it is still going to be an alt season, as far as I'm concerned, as far as the charts are telling me. So when you look at the Bitcoin chart again, we could see 18 weeks. That coincides with diminishing 23, 20. We've got 18 weeks left. Does it mean it's going to happen tomorrow? It doesn't. Does it mean it's going to happen in the next couple of weeks? It doesn't. Does it mean that this chart is even going to play out? No, it doesn't. We're just looking based on previous estimations. So that was a bit of a rant, Jellicoe, but that's basically what I'm looking for in the market at the moment. And have you got anything to share as far as the money flow index?
This is
M2 money
interesting.
supply.
Yeah, this is interesting. So you expect it to continue for the 4 months, right? Like in the last video we spoke, I think it was 1 month ago. I think the price was around 90K or even lower. I'm not sure. But I remember, that I said pretty much that the best time will be to buy, pretty much at the start of the May. And
Yeah.
as you can see, we are going up. And this is the M2 money supply line. And as we can see, like maybe we have few more days and then we get to the next like local low. And from that, I expect BTC price to follow since the correlation is around 80%. And when you're betting like to 4-1 odds, I'll always take that bet, So I think we have few more days to accumulate BTC, and from that point we will probably go parabolic up. I'm not sure, to which level. I think some people did calculations that it should go to around 140K, 150K. I'm not sure like whether that will continue or not. Let me see if I can. Yeah, the M2 money supply continues going up, so we'll see how this plays out. But I definitely expect us to break 120, 25K, and to get to all new time highs. And one thing that I always like to look in the correlation with this, and this is like the parameter that I think it's so undervalued, and I always mention it, is predicted funding rates. As you can see, we are in consistently negative zone, which means that there is a lot of people actually shorting the markets. And when you have people shorting the markets, guess what happens? The markets actually usually go up and liquidate all these people, So
Yep.
I expect these things to happen this time, and I am positioning in heavily now. So we'll see how the things plays out. But last time it played out in the right way. So I just expect the continuation of that and the markets rising. So yeah,
It
let's see.
shows the
Let's
flow.
see.
Yeah, it shows the flow of money is already there, and that's even without the rate cut from America. So if you did get a rate cut from America and a pivot from the Fed at any point within the next month or so, that could follow suit quite easily. I think it is about following the flow of money. So no, that's the markets, and thank you for your update on the markets,
Yeah,
Jellicoe.
one thing also, that I notice is that people think, that often we will have some news as we had with Elon and Trump, and that this will crash the markets. I think it's kinda that news actually appears like, and that we take them more seriously when something is already like kind of supposed to happen. That's my impression, and like sometimes you have like strong reaction, sometimes you don't get any reaction at all. And I like to follow more on-chain data and things that, like if you see the correlation of lines like 80% plus, no matter what's the name of the parameter or what's the data, if the correlation is 80% plus, is something that I like to follow. And yeah, that's just my view on this.
Yeah, well, it's getting the edge, isn't it, Jellicoe, at the end of the day? And when you've got a correlation of 80% of something, then you have to pay attention to it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, great. So if you stop sharing your screen now, then, Jellicoe, if you're done with the analysis, and we can talk about your guild.
Well, yeah, I mentioned that pretty much, like for all these like things regarding gaming, if anyone has any questions or anything, they can hop on a Discord. I'll send you the link so you can post it in description if it's okay.
Yeah, of course.
And yeah, we discuss, like all these like from these free opportunities, what are the airdrops, what people can farm and earn daily by playing games. I think for anybody that is interested in gaming, they need to be involved in like some gaming communities, and this is exactly what I'm building. I wanted to start this a long time ago, and like the correlation, with the conference in Dubai is like you realize how much connection matters, and there are so many of these cabals in Web3 industry in general, not just Web3 gaming, but overall, and like honestly, there is a lot of scams in the industry. There's a lot of like honest things, and in some cases, or actually in majority of the cases, it's very difficult to determine which one is what. So in my opinion, whenever you see a red flag in something, you should immediately like drop that. This is how I view things. Like even if you find five green flags and one red flag, I drop these things out immediately because in majority of the projects, very easily you will start seeing green flags, but as soon as the first red flags pops up, it's bad. And from my experience, like whenever I decided to pursue because I saw too many green flags and even one red flag like took down all the red ones, and as you mentioned regarding Bitcoin dominance, I think this is one of the reasons why Bitcoin dominance is consistently raising because many of these alts don't have the real fundamentals and the real reasons to have the pumps, right? And
Yeah.
now, like, I feel as the industry is maturing, people are like becoming more aware of it in comparison to what they were before, And I think this means that we are actually moving forward, We are still not at the point that like reputation matters to the level that it should matter, but we are definitely going in there. The only question is like whether we get there in like next year or whether we get there in 5 years, but we'll definitely come to the point where reputation matters, and when people like you know, will get way more followers than others that are like doing a lot of shady things, right?
That's exactly something that we were talking about just before the call because we mentioned a scam that someone messaged me where they control 80% of the supply and they were going to pump and dump the token. I'm not even going to say what the name is because I'm not getting involved in any of that. And it's something that we get quite constantly as influencers. And we could get more tens and tens and tens of thousands of subscribers and make so much money if you actually sold yourself to the system. But then you'd just be a scammer yourself, wouldn't you, Jellico? So unfortunately, we haven't got 10,000 subscribers yet. We've been in the space for 3 years, but hopefully the credibility will make us big one day. Because I'm going to stay and
Yeah, and
I'm going to stay within the space and I'm going to be consistent within the space. And I said that the aim of the game for me is to teach everybody within my community what I know. I'll show you exactly what I'm doing. I'm show you why I'm doing it. I'll show you why I'm looking at the chart. But in a few years' time, if I could have a group of people that could all say, look what I've found, Keith, look at this, Keith, look at this. And then we can collectively look at something together, work out probabilities, twos, froms, and help them understand that I'm not going to be here forever, but they can do it themselves. And you could spend just half an hour a day, because you do spend half an hour a day scrolling through your phone. Spend that half an hour a day on self-development, understand exactly what it is that you're doing, what it is that you're looking at, rather than just following influencers. Try and understand the actual psychology behind it and try and delve down as deep and just spend that half an hour a day self-developing yourself. And that can give you the edge, that can give you the passive income, that can help you move on to bigger things. So that's what I say to everybody.
mm, yeah, we already have a lot of people that are actually net negative for the industry, you know, and like one of my goals in Web3 is like to contribute, you know, both from like growing Web3, but also since I come from a third world country, you know, I would like, you know, to help, you know, people to get to the level where they don't need to worry for their financials as they had in the past, you know, and that's obviously goal for me personally as well, to obviously get to the higher level and yeah, to get as many people as I can alongside with me to that point as well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I can vouch for you, Jellico. We've been together we've known each other now for 3 years. We've become friends. And one thing that you are a crypto hulk, but you are a friendly giant. So, and an
Friendly
honest
try.
person as well.
Thank you, thank you.
But I think that's probably about it, unless you've got anything to say, Jellico.
No, no, that's all.
That's it.
Thank you,
Jump
Keith.
jump into our Discord and we'll have a chat about your guild. We'll have a chat about gaming and we'll just have a general chat. And yeah, you're welcome there anytime. And so is everybody else that's watching. So that's goodbye from me.
Yeah, thank you, Keith, for having me. Bye, guys. See ya.
Been an
Thank you
absolute
for staying
pleasure.
until the end.
Thank you, Jellico. Take care. Bye now.
Bye.